So that's a good thing about that, they trust us. So it's great. Well, let's go on to our next learning, which is the Go Live readiness.
All right. So one of the tools we used as part of our project, and of course not at the beginning, but we learned over time, we actually started, this is an example of a scorecard. It's actually a spreadsheet in Excel. And what we do is we enter all of our requirements into our product called TFS. I don't know how many of you have that, may not have that application. But it's a repository for all of our requirements, and we can track the requirement through different stages. So as a BA, I create a requirement. I talk to the users and they say, we need, say, this report, okay? So I'll create a requirement saying, okay, here's a report that they need, and I'll gather the requirements for that. When that's done, I assign it over to the development team within this product. They work on it. When they're done with it, they assign it back to me, and noting that it's ready for testing. Once I'm done testing it, I assign it back to them and say, okay, it looks good and it's ready for deployment. From that application, you can create spreadsheets, which has been very useful. So we created this spreadsheet, and at first, again, we've learned a lot. The first time we used these, we had a spreadsheet for requirements gathering, so that we would have every feature in here, and then we would have the users, as they reviewed each requirement, use case, they would then indicate their sign-off in here. Then we had another spreadsheet that was for testing. So when all the requirements were done, we're ready for testing. We had the same requirements, right? In a testing spreadsheet. And then we would mark that, okay, these are ready for you to test. As the users started testing, they would say they were, complete. And then anyway, it got to be a lot of spreadsheets. So I remember at the end of one of our deployments, we're like, I've seen way too many spreadsheets. Can we, combine them somehow? And so we came up with that one, which pretty much had everything in one spreadsheet. And the first thing we did was identify the IST owner as well as the business owner. And then we could track each requirement on that one spreadsheet where it went from the beginning of the project, requirements, sign off, through testing, and then marked as ready for go live. And the key on the mark ready for go live was that as the users did their testing, maybe they saw something like a heading wasn't translated in their language properly. It was still in English or something. Okay, so they needed to provide us with a translation. And we would say, okay, we'll track an item to get that fixed, but would you hold up go live because that is in English instead of in Russian? And they would say, well, no, of course not. Well, then you mark that as ready for go live. So even though we're going to be working on this and we will get it fixed and you will be able to retest it, we don't want to hold up go live because of something like that. So only like the major things would be, okay, this is not ready for go live, and we'd have to, we knew right away, okay, these are things we have to get fixed right away, and these things can wait till later if we don't get to them. All right, so that was awesome. From that spreadsheet then, we were able to produce scorecards. And the scorecards are available for various levels of management. And you could easily see at a glance, at the beginning up here, here's our requirements. We could track them as, okay, we haven't started getting sign off yet, or they're starting to work on them. How many and the % complete. And then once the requirements were done, we get into testing, and maybe we'd still have some requirements open, but now we're into testing as well. We could see, how quickly we're going through testing. But the major thing was we would always focus on the go live. How close are we ready for go live? And of course at the beginning, nothing's ready for go live. But as you go through the project week by week, you could see, how quickly we're getting there. And again, what area we need to stay focused on. Is it the testing area? Do we still have requirements out there that we need to work on? We better get those going first. So it was very transparent and very, very easy for everyone to see quickly what was going on. Now we had a scorecard for the executives based on the same information, but this would be for a region. because the other scorecards, let me go back, were for each subsidiary, all right? Because we're deploying into each subsidiary. We do, pretty much a region at a time, but still it's one subsidiary at a time working on these things. So we're focusing on maybe 8 or 9 subsidiaries, but they're only interested in their own. Okay, now the executive committee, they want to see the whole region, and who's doing what. And Tara really liked this scorecard because she could see at a glance, okay, which subsidiaries are lagging. Okay, who do I need to get after? And it was very much, it presented a lot of accountability as well. So the BAs were responsible for the requirements and marking that ready for development. If we weren't getting our job done, somebody knew, right? Then the users were ready for the testing. If they weren't getting their job done, we can't, hey, you need to get this job done. I'm not their boss, but their managers could then see, oh, I need to get after these people, and why aren't you doing this? Is there something going on? And then, of course, the executive, would know at a glance which subsidiaries are doing what and how quickly each subsidiary is going, and which ones they need to have a talk with and find out, is there some reason why you're not getting this done? So it took a lot of pressure off of us, because, like I said, we have no reason to be telling other people what jobs they're supposed to be doing. We only can do our own job, and then we have to wait. So this was a really great way to make it very visible and also introduce accountability.
Yeah, so that was a big thing. It happened, when we introduced these scorecards. It seems a little complicated when you see it at first, but we remember maintaining multiple spreadsheets to track different things, These not only create the accountability, because if you see over here, there's a name written of the users, which user is responsible for doing something. So we don't have to, as Donna said, we don't have to go and tell them. It creates the accountability. At the same time, it creates the transparency from top to bottom. And that's where I was going to go through my next learning, which is OCM. So this created a lot of accountability with the users and a transparency from top to bottom and bottom to up. So the OCM became easier, So that was a biggest benefit of creating these scorecards. And these scorecards project managers would send out on a weekly basis to the regional management, to the subsidiary management, and within our team. So everybody knows where this project stands. If we are behind, then everybody knows where we are behind exactly. So there's no pinpointing, no blaming. Everybody is transparent about the process. So that was a really good thing about it. Well, we all are afraid of change, aren't we? And Marike herself, she said that people involved in the decision-making process are more likely to accept the change and support new ideas. And that's what our management and our team went with, that the more people you involve ahead of time is better. So how did our OCM look like? It was definitely top down and bottom up. So we had our end users involved. At the same time, the top management involved in the same process. Okay. There were some competing goals, but that was our job to align those goals. Starting from the regional team to the corporate management. Corporate management had their own budget and their own timelines, and the regional management wanted something else, and the subsidiary management wanted something else. We all face that every day, right? So our job was to align those goals and bring everyone on the same page so that our job, the actual job of deploying front office, becomes easier. So that was one. Then between the project teams, that was another collaboration needed, because we were actually integrating with the e-com team, e-com application, local application. There's a lot of local applications out there in the markets. Because our legacy systems, like I showed during the first slide, the ICS, IRS, those systems do not do everything what they need. So all these markets have small local applications, homegrown, deployed, Now, when front office goes, if we allow them to run all those applications, it's going to become an overhead because there will be data at different places. And we do not want that to happen because this is a global application. We want to make sure as much as we keep centralized, it's better. So we had to work through the users and the subsidiary management to make them understand that front office can replace so many features from what they have today in their local application. At the same time, we had to be open because there are products they had which they loved it or there were reasons to keep it. So we were open to integrate those as well. So in short, we were not only dealing with the different project team, we were also dealing with those localized because they have developed